Talking Solutions continues. We're an hour long as of this Sunday. I'm Terry Springs. We've all heard of Three Square Food Bank, right? You may have donated in some fashion. Maybe you needed their services. But chances are you don't know everything. How they do what they do, what goes on behind the scenes, what is called the new face of hunger. We've got just the person to fill us in on all of that. Matt Muldoon, thank you for coming in today. What's your actual title?
Well, I have an official title. It's Chief Development Officer for Three Square Food Bank, and that entails marketing, PR, and certainly fundraising. It's about community development and connecting people.
That's really important. We've got to get the word out. That's what I'm here for.
Absolutely. We like to give voice to those who don't have voice.
Yes, exactly. You just missed seeing Leslie Rogers and Major Kelly Pontzler from Salvation Army, and they were just saying the nicest things about Three Square.
Well, we say the nicest things about them. Salvation Army's on the front line. Three Square supports a lot of organizations, but partners and collaborators like Major Kelly and Leslie and Salvation Army see the challenges and struggles every day in the Valley. And so it's nice of them to provide a compliment to Three Square, but it's also reciprocated in the sense that we know the work that they're doing every single day.
What is the slogan for Salvation Army nationally? It is doing the most good, and I sure think that about them. I just think they are wonderful. It's nice to be able to talk about both of your missions, so we're really glad to have you here. One of the things they were saying is that they are able to purchase food at such a low cost because of the connection with Three Square. The Salvation Army and the people in need that they actually serve get so much more for the dollars that are donated.
It's an interesting concept. I think most folks in the Valley don't understand how Three Square operates. We have 110,000 square feet, large warehouse, like a Costco. We have rows and rows of food, which is fantastic. We have access to fresh fruits and vegetables in California. So Three Square's role in the community is to be that distribution point. We can access food and we can distribute food through partners like Salvation Army, and there are costs associated with that, transportation or the hard costs of the food themselves. But food banks traditionally operate as that distributor. That's why we moved 33 million pounds of food through our food bank last year, and we have goals to do more. And with partners like Salvation Army, Las Vegas Rescue Mission, Catholic Charities, as well as small faith-based organizations in your neighborhood and mine who are helping neighbors, we distribute high-quality, nutritious food as often and frequently as needed for those who are struggling here in the Valley.
I've been to your distribution warehouse a while back when it already was one big cavernous facility, but I understand it's even larger now.
Well, in 2007, Three Square came online. At the time, the economy hadn't really crumbled here. And then the effects that occurred, unemployment rates stubbornly high, foreclosures and bankruptcy, here in Southern Nevada, we took the triple whammy. And getting back on our feet is still taking time. We're seeing signs of recovery. There's more optimism, but it hasn't been equal for everybody. No. And so we know that families continue to struggle. Resources are limited and dollars are stretched. So we work with partners in the community to distribute high-quality food, healthy, nutritious food as often as we can. But Three Square's business, if you will, really blossomed or grew out of the need that was coming down the line in this community. And it was very serendipitous that we brought on board a second facility, the Donald W. Reynolds Foundation, fully paid for our second facility on North Pecos Road, as well as partners like the Conrad and Hilton Foundation and the Lindsay Institute, which was funding from Kirk Kerkorian. And those names may sound familiar to many of your listeners.
Sure.
And they were our angel funders. And they came online and said, this community, Las Vegas, is in need of a food bank. We had many folks distributing food, Salvation Army and my partners I mentioned, but we weren't doing it in a collaborative way that was maximizing donor dollars, community resources, so that we could reach more people. In doing so, we've created these partnerships, but we couldn't do the work of Three Square without those folks on the front line. They see the eyes, they touch the hands, they know those who are in need every single day in this community. So Three Square was very fortunate 7 years ago to come online and be that hunger relief organization that supports these other collaborators. And it's 180 other partners right now. So when funders are looking for max efficiencies, Three Square sometimes is a solution. 93 cents of every dollar goes back out to feeding people. And we're able to do that based on, as I described, on those three angel funders, but we're able to do that because of the partnerships where they now can use their dollars and maximize them. And not just donated food products, perhaps somebody doesn't want, but to be able to access and distribute nutritious, high-quality food that restores dignity, that gives a family confidence again, puts them back on their feet to recovery, and then to sustain that activity over a long period of time. That is developing a healthy community. And so Three Square has a great role to be a collaborator, to be a convener in that effort. And if any organization is interested in partnering with us, please give us a call. We'd love to have them join us in that partnership so that we can build a better community coming out of the challenges and struggles of the last couple of years.
I totally agree with that. I believe in any kind of a challenge that we face as a community, as Southern Nevadans, unless we all work together, we're really not going to accomplish our goals. I think also it's important to note Three Square Food Bank is the only food bank for Clark County, which is a huge area.
Yeah, our territory, we're part of Feeding America. Feeding America is in 202 other cities. It's a great model for, again, that access and distribution of food. You've been to our warehouses and you've seen our trucks rolling around town. But we also have a large service area. Clark is the primary service area because of the large population. But we also have Lincoln, Esmeralda, and Nye County as our responsibility here.
So you're beyond Clark County.
We are beyond Clark County. The square mile is 44,000 square miles. So we're fortunate to have these trucks rolling around that are helping people in Boulder City, Henderson, which is a large metropolitan area nowadays, all the way to the north in Mesquite, as well as far northwest as Summerlin and beyond. So we have a greater responsibility geographically. Most of the population certainly here in Clark County, but we do have responsibility for a portion of the southern part of the state. And we have great partners at the Northern Nevada Food Bank who have the rest of the state and have a lot of rural responsibilities.
I think of food as the most basic need. And we're all very sensitive to the fact that we have hungry children in our midst. But those kids, unless they have food in their tummies in the morning, physically, they can't learn the way that we want them to learn.
The school district has a multitude of challenges, a growing enrollment number, a growing number of kids who are disproportionately at or below the poverty level. We have 58% of kids in the Clark County School District who are receiving free lunch. And so that's an indicator that there's an identified population that has rumbling tummies, that are having difficulty staying focused and succeeding and striving towards success. And so we know that there's a high number of children in our community who are hungry or food insecure, which essentially means where's the next meal coming from? And so we're so fortunate that we have the free lunch program in Clark County, as well as the breakfast program, which is very fortunate for kids who don't have access to regular food. But what happens overnight? What happens on weekends? And so to maintain healthy, nutritious bodies, it's important that you have access 365 days, through holidays, through weekends, and overnight. And so we're very fortunate that we're able to touch these children with direct services, as well as through these programs or partners like Salvation Army.
The number that you mentioned a moment ago, that 58%, I heard that on a commercial. All the love to ABC Hyundai, their running spots, saying that 58% of the children in Clark County schools actually have these hunger issues, and that just seems like such a huge proportion.
It's almost 170,000 kids. I mean, that's a staggering number. And that's during the school year. Remember the 9-month cycle that we're on right now. A few schools have gone year-round, but we have kids who are off all summer long. And so we've become the major partner in the free lunch program, if you will, the Summer Food Service Program, which is a federal program. It's the free lunch during the summertime. So we know that those kids are out there, and we've had to go to find new collaborations and partnerships like the Clark County Library System, YMCA, Boys and Girls Club, where kids are during the summer months, again, knowing that they're at or below the poverty level and don't have regular access to healthy, nutritious food. We make sure that we're working with those partners where kids are going in neighborhoods. As you know, and we all know, that June, July, and August gets a little warm around here.
Yeah.
And so we have families who, if you're limited in resources for food, you're probably limited in resources for transportation and accessing where to get those foods. Or you may be living in a neighborhood that we define as a food desert, which essentially means there's no grocery store.
There's not nutritious food, fruits and vegetables and the things that really make a complete nutritious meal.
Not at all. And I had a father who gave me a call through one of our agency partners, and it was a cry for help. He was asking us where he could access food, and we immediately connected him geographically in his neighborhood. So those who want to go online or give Three Square a call can find a location that may be distributing food. Parents have come accustomed to that the school sites play a primary role in that.
Right.
But there are many other agencies as well as organizations in your neighborhood that are lowering the barriers so that entire families can access healthy, nutritious food.
That's a really good thing to bring up too, Matt, and that is that We know with the percentage of people in our midst in Southern Nevada that we have a lot of needs. We have a lot of people who are food insecure, a lot of families who do need the help. And so I'm absolutely sure that some of the people who are hearing us today have such needs. Maybe they haven't reached out. And just like you said, the father who approached you and said, we need some assistance. If someone's listening today and they need that kind of help, your suggestion to them?
Well, the suggestion is that it's a changing face of who's hunger, right? We've certainly talked about children, but we have many older populations here in Southern Nevada who are going through the same struggles or challenges. So the face of hunger is dramatically changed. It's not what we traditionally would think of someone who's homeless. We certainly don't have the images of the 1920s of people lined up for food. But what we have is older populations who are making decisions between health care, medications, feeding their pets, keeping the air conditioning on during high temperature months, and food. And food tends to be the thing that we least will access first, right? We want to get those medications in our body first. We want to make sure the house is controlled and temperature-wise and safe and secure. Or we'll have a mom and dad who are working 2 jobs to feed the children and the entire family, and they skip meals. And they don't think of themselves as food insecure or hungry. And they are. They're chipping away at their own health, their own sustainability for the younger ones in the family. And that's common. It's a noble thing to do, right? You want to take care of your family. But here you are working 1, 2, 3 jobs to put enough on the table to pay the rent, to pay the bills, and you're skipping meals. And you're chipping away at your own health, your own mental and physical health. And again, what I'm saying is that it's a changing face of hunger. It doesn't have geographical boundaries. It doesn't care if you're a Republican, an independent, a Democrat. Those things don't matter. What it is that folks are concerned with that next meal and that sustainability for all year, for all month, for every week. And so it is a changing face, the most vulnerable population being children. But there's an entire population out there of working adults, or we describe sometimes as the working poor. I'm not quite sure I understand that phrase, but working adults who are not working at their best or high peak performance because they're skipping meals along the road to get through the day. And again, the options they may be choosing may be more unhealthy options, right? The more fast food route. Again, so we try to develop programs where we get shelf-stable items into families, but also fresh fruits and vegetables. So I referred to earlier about our contacts and relationships in Southern California. It's the breadbasket of the Southwest. There's lots of growers and manufacturers there, but we're constantly trucking in millions of pounds of food so that's available here in Southern Nevada. And we're very fortunate that the father who called me and had his children who were very concerned with their meals are going to come through, found the pantry site to go to, was moved and touched by that activity. And more importantly, again, fresh fruits and vegetables were getting in the household. And that's so important so that young folks, adults, working adults, and senior citizens in our community are healthy and thriving. That's a positive, good community to be living in.
Everybody knows I'm nutrition crazy. And so it's always the steel-cut oats in the morning. And I've got all of these nutrition bars that I feel like my household needs to be able to maximize our energy, the way our brain functions, the way I carry out my day. But the food desert is a very true thing, and nutrition is important. Last year, my husband and I both were part of the group who went on SNAP for a week. We did the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program. For anybody who doesn't know what that is such a small total. I want to say it was just over $15. It was definitely less than $20 a week for us to get all these meals.
It's a federal program.
Yeah.
It's one that's going to have great debate again. The federal government does spend and have budgeted billions of dollars to feed people throughout this country, and that involves manufacturers and growers. And so SNAP, or the Food Stamp Program, has been a lifeline for many families for many years. But as you're describing, the benefits received aren't quite perhaps some of the stories we may have seen on TV, the lavish lifestyle that someone may be living off of those meager dollars.
I'm not seeing it.
You're not seeing it. You're not seeing it in part because, transportation costs, fuel costs have risen. We've seen them come down a little bit, which is great.
Right.
I filled my gas tank up the other day and saved $15. Fantastic. But food costs continue to rise.
Yes.
If we go look at how much a gallon of milk is, that's staggering. And for a family that is living on food stamps or supplementing food stamps with working income, those dollars are meager. And most importantly, what's happened is that as the month goes on, those dollars get spent quickly and they run into gaps, a week, a day, where they don't have enough dollars to go out and buy food. And so again, that's the role of pantries and our partners like Salvation Army, as well as neighborhood organizations like YMCA Boys and Girls Club, who do distribute meals to kids, who fill those gaps when the resources are limited or zero. And SNAP is a controversial program throughout the country, and I think will continue to be. But for many, many decades, that has been a lifeline for many Americans in this country.
I took on SNAP for a week, and my husband came along with me since I provide all his nutrition anyway. We both were part of the blog for people in the media who were involved. I know most of the mayors in Clark County were involved with it last year, and that was hard.
Well, we had a big advocacy push because we have to start with awareness. And so we were down in Henderson and met with
Mayor
Hafen, who's a fantastic guy. But right away, he started to describe the changes that go on first physically with your body. And he thought, oh, the weight loss will be good for me. How about the headaches associated with weight loss when you start depriving your body of things that you're used to having, say caffeine?
Yeah, I love my caffeine.
I love mine too. I love my coffee. Coffee is expensive and continues to rise. But it was creating that awareness that you first go through the physical changes. And immediately, right along with that, it starts to grow. It's the emotional piece that starts to change. And you're not as happy. You get a little more grumpy or edgy. You are not as productive. And know that as energy level depletes throughout the day. And so you work real hard at living on SNAP benefits to plan your meals, budget your meals so that you have things you can stretch out, if you will, or buy products that you can get in the home and make as many meals as possible. But what inevitably starts to happen is there are products you don't buy because they're costly. Coffee, but more importantly, protein.
Yes.
Right? Very important to many diets. We can have a lengthy discussion about protein, but very important to stabilizing your body and part of a healthy, balanced diet. So those things, as they're depleted or deprived for the body, again, starts to have this physical change and this emotional change. So when we talk about folks who perhaps are visiting the welfare office and are seeking services and they're waiting in line, they're put into conditions where, one, they're deprived of food and access to regular nutrition. They're a little more grumpy and unhappy. And then they're looking for some service or access to resources and run into roadblocks or complications or challenges that become frustrating. And what happens inevitably at some point is that people give up. We don't want to lose hope. People seek alternatives. We have a lot of conditions here in this community. Theft and robbery and violence, unfortunately, is prevalent. And a lot of these things stem from not having some of the basics, right? Food, a roof over your head, stability in the family life. And so these things, unfortunately, erode communities. We're trying to build better communities. And basic services are key, and partners and collaborations are essential. And food is a basic, in many ways, a necessity for us to sustain and thrive and grow as a community. And as we come out of the challenges of the last 5 years, Three Square will be here as long as the need persists in this community.
That's good to know. There's a lot of need, but working together, once again, is our best resource. I'm blessed. I don't need to come to Three Square or one of the food pantries or the social services that we have to offer in Clark County. I am blessed I don't have to access those. However, as part of the spirit of giving, this is where we all reach out and say, if you have it to give, could you please help? I would like to do something to help Three Square. All of us think about getting the non-perishables out. There are constantly food drive kind of efforts going on. But is my best use of the dollars that I can donate toward this food effort for my community, is it best that I donate the non-perishables, or can you actually do more with it if I give you $1 at Three Square?
Well, you're setting me up.
Yes,
the
I am.
short answer is yes, we could do more with it. But I don't want to discount the activities when people participate in taking something out of your shelf and giving it to somebody else, or going to a grocery store and buying one more item for somebody else. There's a lot of great opportunities out there. Sprouts has a bag and grab and go type of donation
I've
item.
seen it.
The Scouts run a great food drive throughout the year, and we partner with them to help transport, separate those items and get them back out for distribution. So I never want to discount when somebody physically gets involved in the charitable act, and if that's food and food donations. But if you do make a contribution of $1 to 3 Square, we will translate that into 3 meals. Again, 93 cents of every dollar is returned to feeding people. So we maximize the dollars that are donated. We have that capacity because of our large facilities and our network of partners. But also, we want folks to engage in that activity. So food drives are very popular. We have a lot of kids and schools and organizations who do that, and we don't want to discount that. But if you ever have cash or contributions like that, again, we will turn every dollar into 3 meals.
I'm a really good shopper. I can't do that.
No, you can't. And our folks at Smith's and Albertsons, et cetera, they know that. And that's why they partner with us also, that we have these great capacities to translate, again, that $1 into 3 meals. And there are super fabulous programs throughout the community that encourage people to give back and give back food. We're usually tied to almost, if not all, of those activities.
That's good that we're all working in the same direction. So, Matt, if I could, just to kind of bring things around, if someone is in need of the services that 3 Square can help provide.
Yeah, go to our website, www.3square.org. You can go in the right-hand corner. It's About Us, and you can find out where there may be services near you. There's maps. Call us, 702-644-3663. I recommend you go to option 7. That'll send you to our call center. And again, you may be able to have someone help you fill out a SNAP application. You may engage with our staff members and volunteers to identify a pantry or food site near you. So you can always go to our website. You can always go to our phone lines and contact 3 Square to find out where resources are closest to you. We're on North Pecos, pretty close to North Las Vegas, so that is not a place where folks come individually to receive meals. It's again through these partners in neighborhoods, in communities, Henderson, Boulder City, Pahrump, Mesquite. So don't just think Clark County, think Lincoln, Nye, Esmeralda, and Clark County as a surface area for 3 Square Food Bank.
So we know how to look for service if we're needing the help. If we are donating, it sounds like any way that you donate is greatly appreciated, whether it be donation of non-perishable food items through a food drive, or if you donate money, which 3 Square then turns into 3 nutritious meals for every dollar. The other thing that I want to make sure to mention, and I remember how cute I thought this was a few years ago when it happened, Carlos Santana came up to 3 Square and actually donated some of his time, because I think the issue of volunteerism is very important too. If there's no other way that you can help 3 Square, you could come and help by giving your time.
Absolutely. Mr. Santana is a humanitarian, first and foremost. When we opened our doors, he was there to lend credibility, to get the community excited about us coming online, and has been a staunch advocate on behalf of the issues in this community and 3 Square Food Bank. And so volunteerism is a key component of what we do. That 93 cents of every dollar that goes back out to feed people is directly possible because we have thousands of volunteers, hundreds of thousands of hours donated every single year. Last year, 100,000 hours donated. That translated into almost 48 employees for us. Again, people are coming into our facility, working in our kitchen. They're in the volunteer room sorting through the food drives that are coming in. These are a lot of varied products. And all those things have to be broken down, reassembled for distribution. And that's very labor intensive. So we're very fortunate that we have a great volunteer platform at our facility, as well as fantastic opportunities. If you want to go one step further, we're at school sites throughout the entire month where we're distributing shelf-stable items, fresh fruits and vegetables directly to families. So if you'd like to bring a group out, a church activity, a department wants to get together and do team building, what's it, community social responsibility, as we call it in the corporate environment, and you want to bring folks out to 3 Square or go to a site where you can directly provide services and access to food for families, we have many, many opportunities all year long. Hunger does not take a day off. It is 365 days. The need is stubbornly high. 315,000 people here in Southern Nevada are food insecure. And again, 3 Square will be here as long as that need stays that high. Our greatest allies in improving economy. Let's not shun the optimism that is out there. But again, we have the knowledge, We have the resources. We just need to plug people in to take the opportunity.
What a great way to build camaraderie with your coworkers with any company, to get a few people together to actually go up and volunteer and work at 3 Square, or as Matt says, to go out and maybe work on one of the school sites and help distribute. When you are able to face someone one-on-one who is in need of your services, and you're freely smiling and offering something that will help them in the way of nutrition and food stuff, the smile that you get back, I would imagine that there's a lot of thank yous involved.
I see you and you see me. We restore dignity. We don't just give hope. We restore dignity to individuals who just want to know that somebody cares. We want to uplift people. We don't want to bring people down.
Absolutely. Matt Muldoon from 3 Square, the food bank for Clark County and beyond, all of Southern Nevada. Thank you so much for joining us today on
Thank you for
Talking
your time.
Solutions.
You have a blessed day.
Thank you. Back at you.